What's up, everybody? Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have yet another album review for you. And one to kind of round out this week, we decided to kind of dive in the ground and, well, we're going to go over a band that we actually know. Not just in the sense that we've listened to this band before, but we actually know the people in this band. So today we're going over the latest offering from Yotuma, The Final Void. This also comes out on the 12th of September on Bulwark Records. I think I said that right. This band formed in 2021 in Madison, Wisconsin. This is their second full length. This band is Denver Death Fest alum.
Yeah, they played the one and only Denver Death Fest. They played a show with us at Howard's Club H in Bowling Green with Mutilated and Narcotic Wasteland. It was pretty killer. So, yeah, not only have we seen them a couple times, but we have hung out a couple times, and nice folks.
After seeing their set in Denver, I actually ended up getting their Age of Acrimony EP as well as their first full-length Otherworldly Incarnate. And the best way to describe this band is they are just very, like, groove-centric death metal. Yep. Like, fiercely in that kind of, like, just, let's stick that groove, let's get people headbanging. And this is their first one with their new frontman, whose name I did not write down. I suck, sorry.
Fail. I mean, if I had to be honest, I like this guy more than I liked their original vocalist. Nothing against that dude, personally, but, like, I just feel like this guy has a lot more by way of vocal dynamic. His growls are a lot more defined, and I can understand words he's saying, which is cool.
But basing this off the two releases I have, I was kind of, looking for, a sense of growth. Like, first off, I think this is the best album art they've had so far. Like, this looks, pretty legit awesome. And overall, while I would say they've, kind of retained a lot of the hallmarks of their sound, there's definitely some changes on here. First off, the production here is probably some of the best they've had so far. Yeah. It's chunkified, the guitars are just big and beefy. The drums might be a little bit loud, but they sound good.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely out front, but they sound, I don't know, polished, not really compressed. I personally would tweak the mix a little bit, but the drums sound nice.
And, I mean, you have riffs aplenty, you have groove aplenty, that, again, was, kind of the core of their sound, but I feel like this band has really taken on, a lot more in the way of, brutal death metal. That's become, the main seasoning that they've added, in between the albums. The opening track, Smoldering, I mean, you get right into, big chromatic riffs. The new vocalist has, I would say a more, again, defined range. His growls are more clear. It's kind of a good mid-range to kind of low. Mm-hmm. But he also gets down and does, some absolutely disgusting gutturals and some very appropriate kind of, slammy moments on here. A lot of this stuff, it kind of reminds me of, in the 90s where death metal bands started embracing more groove. Now, I'm not talking about, the death metal bands that completely fucking just sold the fuck out and did groove metal albums Massacre or whatever that fucking horrible ass album is. That album's absolute fucking trash. This is more akin to I would say Obituary around World Demise, mm-hmm. or honestly Broken Hope around Loathing. The only thing that really changed was they added a little bit more groove. They retained all the heaviness. And this is very comparable. This is still heavy as shit. It's brutal as fuck at points. Sphincter Dremel, which I'm not entirely sure what that is.
That sounds unfortunate.
That sounds fucking painful, depending on which sphincter you choose, which there's plenty on the body, but of course, us being us, we only had a couple in mind.
Butthole!
Mine was actually dickhole, but you know what, we'll just go with butthole.
Dickhole? Dude, no. No. Oh. Ow.
I can hear you mentally screaming right now.
Yeah. It's not what you do with a dick hole.
Anyway, enough dwelling on what that might be. It might actually just be something not horrible. No, it probably
I'm not going to Google search it. I'm not using my phone, at least.
But that comes in with, some, big bolt thrower stomps, some, heavy syncopated grooves. But you get, again, these brutal death metal elements. You get those, big, hefty chromatic riffs. It's, kind of I don't know, if you took, I don't know, John Gallagher or Terrence Hobbs and put them in Lamb of God and said, listen, we're going to do some more brutal shit, but you guys can stay groovy. That's fine with us. Outside of the more groovy stuff, you get pockets of blast beats, and the blast beats kind of have a little bit more of a brutal death metal sound to them. You get a lot of those full extension Mike Smith style blast beats on there. Sometimes they'll half time a groove and slow down a little bit, But for the most part, this hangs out in just a big, beastly, groovy pocket and just chugs your fucking face off.
I mean, that really describes about 90% of the record. And again, Sphincter Dremel, too, I thought had some really nasty fucking chugs in it, too.
It should be.
Really nasty riffing. And Point of Sentence, I found, like, overall, there was more instrumentation and, like, there was a little bit more to the riffs. They incorporated tremolo and kind of opened it up a little bit. Like, there's tremolo pockets all over this record. But as you get further down the line, they start loosening up these songs and kind of deviating away from just groove and playing with it a little more. And Point of Sentience has not only a bunch of riff changes in it, but it's got like a little bass groove in it. It's got a little drum solo. The lead gets a little bit shreddier.
Yeah, leads are kind of like pockmarked on here. And that's like kind of with like a lot of these elements. Like blast beats, you don't get like a song where it's like a continuous blast beat. It's mostly just like a section of the song, or it's like a, you know, kind of a clever accent at like the beginning of the song, like the last track, Implanted Memories, has this like fun little like off-time blast beat that kind of matches up with like a really fucking catchy riff. Same thing, at least on the first part of the album with the, you know, tremolo riffs. They're more or less accents on the end of these like just big, chunky, you know, like just gnarly, brutal riffs. Like a lot of the riff work on here is just built to chug, like triplet chugs, you know, again, like the chromatic stuff. And that has a particular sound. It drives the songs. You know, it's just a mean, aggressive sound overall. And it doesn't really change that much throughout a good chunk of the album. Outside of Sphincter Dremel, which has like some, you know, like more like kind of caveman like aspects. Like it's just like just a hefty beat down song, but it's got like some, you know, kind of like fun tribal grooves to it. But a Neolithic Idol, which actually features Garrett from Maul doing some backup vocals on there. That's the first one where it really slows down and it kind of changes the mood overall. Because in terms of like mood or atmosphere in here, everything's aggressive. Everything's fucking like just knucks in your fucking face. This song, a little bit more sinister, a little bit more brooding just because they slow it down enough. You also get some like open chords on there where they just kind of just hit a couple of open chords. It's not like palm muted. It's not chugged. It just has like, you know, a little bit of like sustain to it. And I kind of like this because, again, it's like a little bit different. It kind of just changes up the dynamic a bit because, while I would say this definitely has more dynamic than their previous offerings, it still kind of needs like a little bit more dynamic, I'd say.
Yeah, overall use of dynamic in these songs isn't so much the thing as it just being chuggy and in your face. Got reminded a lot of like early 200 Stab Wounds. Again, yeah, Dying Fetus and Suffocation 100%. But I mean, like, they're just trying to chug your face off. They get stuck in a groove and they just go from there. Like, Implanted Memories, the last track, I thought opened up quite a bit too. It's definitely more aggressive, but it lets everything breathe a little bit. Like, there's more tremolo play. In fact, the end of that song is particularly savage.
Oh, dude, the main riff on that song is catchy as fuck. And that whole song, it just kind of like, I don't know, like kind of like navigates around like a lot of like 90s death metal tropes, both like brutal death metal and like just like straight up like kind of like Floridian death metal. It's the songs that have like a little bit more riff variety than the ones that I kind of like really latched onto, like a Neolithic Idol, Sphincter Dremel. And Inhuman Spawn has some really solid riff changes and some excellent brutal death metal moments where New Dude, sorry, didn't write down your name, my bad.
Sorry, man.
Gets down and does some like absolutely just nasty death metal gurgles, and there's some really fun like syncopated gallops on that song, kind of Carcass-ish, and that's always welcome. But there's definitely songs in here where I feel like they kind of just got stuck, like they kind of just laid on that one riff and, you know, didn't do necessarily much with it. Granted, there isn't a song in here that I thought was bad or anything like that. It's just there are points where the song needed to move. And part of that might be to do with the fact that they have one guitarist. I think they're kind of wise about like not trying to do too much in the way of like doubled guitars on here or anything like that, especially since they play with just one guitarist live. But at points, I feel like something as simple as like, you know, a riff harmony, like not like a bright shimmering anything, like just like a solid riff harmony, kind of like changing up the riff a little bit, especially when they're kind of hanging on one particular groove, that would open it up a little bit. That, and you know, I like this guy's just frequent just on the chug style, but the fact that it's kind of like almost entirely that style for most of the album, it kind of makes the riffs run together a bit.
I mean, I get it. You like triplet chugs. We like triplet chugs.
Love triplet chugs.
You know, I get that you like, you know, chromatic runs, and I get you like, you know, descending riffs. Like they're all good riffs. It's just the other problem that we face is a lot of these songs are kind of fall into the same tempo range. Like when you get into that groove, it's just a pretty much straightforward jam, and a lot of the songs do that. And it makes it kind of get stuck. Like Malignant Forms is really guilty of that. That's one of the longest tracks on the album, a little bit over 5 minutes. And it gets stuck in this riff for a good long while. And like I see what you're saying about maybe a second guitarist just to throw in a little bit of atmosphere, or again even like harmonize the tags on that riff or something, I think could really bring it alive and help it not to get so stagnant.
Yeah, like having like a lead melody on top of like some of these like big chunky like almost like breakdown sections.
Yeah.
You know, that might open it up a little bit. That and just like kind of like varying up the playing. Like, you know, the last song on Planet Memories, I really liked that one because you had a lot of like different riffs in there that were like distinctly different. Like they really stood out.
They were a little bit more melodic. The lead on there was killer. The lead definitely had some more melody to it. The leads for the most part are just dive bombs, but there are a couple times where they do have some more melody in them. Unfurling Passage, even though it's an instrumental song, like the back half of that is straight like a brutal kind of chuggier Morbid Angel, and there's a lot of melody going into the back half of that song, and then a lot of melody in the riff in Unplanted Memories. But I mean, like beyond that, you know, not a whole lot. But again, there were places that could have been spiced up a little bit more. It wasn't that anything was bad. It just, it needed something more to make it its own.
But again, to their credit, this is I think a solid improvement from the first two, which I didn't think those albums were bad, but again, I felt like they were a little bit more stuck in a rut than this is. This, it does open up the playbook, but I get that there's probably like a comfort zone here, and I totally get comfort zones. I love groove, I love chug, I love bang in my head.
Yep.
These are all great things for metalheads, but I also like a little bit more dynamic, and you know, like I want these songs to be like memorable for different reasons other than, you know, like, well, yeah, this one chugged my face off just like these four other ones.
Right.
It's the points on here where they get a little bit more creative and a little bit more outside of the, you know, comfort zone that I really feel like their music stands out. And I think like going forward, that's the stuff they should definitely explore. Like, you know, a lot of these songs, like, I mean, still, you can keep all of that root chugginess and groove because I feel like that is definitely like the core staple of the sound. But I feel like there's definitely more they could be doing. But what they presented here, honestly, pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I like meat and potatoes death metal, and I don't get a lot of like meat and potatoes like brutal death metal here lately. Like a lot of the brutal death metal I seem to listen to here lately gets like super techy and like way too blasty. Like I kind of just like the fact that this is just groovy and brutal and in your face, and I know they can deliver this live. So yeah, overall, I'm gonna give this 3.5 stars. You know, it's just a chuggy, mean-spirited, ugly album. It's got gnarly riffs. It wants to chug your face off or maybe use a sphincter Dremel on you. You don't have to be that creative with it, or you can be that creative with it. Either way, it sounds like it's going to suck.
Not in the pee hole, guys. Choose another hole.
Right in the pee hole.
Right in the pee hole. No.
But yeah, the songs are groove-laden. You're going to bang your head. You know, I like, again, like the brutal death metal elements mixed up with a lot of groove on here. I think this is honestly their best work so far, and probably going to find out how to pick up a copy here. So yeah, if you're a big fan of, again, like Broken Hope circa Loathing, again, like Obituaries, World Demise, but also like elements of Suffocation and like Dying Fetus. And again, like even like a little bit of Lamb of God in there too. Check this out. It's pretty good.
I'm going to go ahead and give this record a solid 3 stars. This is a pretty good, solid record. All these songs, regardless of the things we've said, are all very heavy and very riffy. There's nothing I wasn't entertained by. While there were a few things that I think I would tweak on here as far as mix and or, you know, things like transitions or things like that, overall, it still was pretty solid. Things don't always have to be blast beats and noodles and crazy riffs all the time. Sometimes there's a lot to be said for just good meat and potatoes, groovy death metal. It's what they do it very well. We've seen them do it live a couple times. They're solid people. They're solid riff writers. I mean, definitely if you want to go bang your head to a record, this is it. Also, we forgot to mention on the song Sunken Dynasty, Megan from Casket Robbery is on there as well. We, again, know Casket Robbery and Megan, and yeah, a great job done there. They're going in the right direction, especially when the songs open up a little bit more. The last 3 tracks on this album really just start to breathe a little bit and play around with things, and I think if that's a direction that they want to go in the future, that's a direction I would head for sure. But nonetheless, this is a great jam if you're into any of the bands we've mentioned. Dying Fetus, Suffocation, Lamb of God, a little bit of Chimera, 200 Stab Wounds for sure in their early days. And if that's the kind of stuff you're into, you're in luck. It's all sandwiched in there, so give it a spin for yourself.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We also have memberships. They're only 99 cents. Our Lone Perk is doing a members-only live stream, which we will probably do maybe next month, maybe later this month, probably next month. I don't know. We will let you know.
We will talk about it for sure.
100%. But membership's the main way to support the channel now. And if you would like to join up, there's a join button down there, which you can just hit, or, you know, take your sphincter Dremel, which I'm sure every household has, and just kind of drill into it like an imaginary pee hole. Because that's where it goes.
Every time. That's where it goes, I guess. Boy. But what's not horrible is the fact that you guys are here. Even if you choose not to join, it's cool because we still offer tons of stuff that are for everybody, not just our members. Non-members only live streams, which are equally as stupid as the members only live streams. We have discography rankings, album reviews, Nick's Never-Ending Collection updates, and a ton of other segments because we do all metal all the time here. That's why we do it. Well, mostly we do it for you guys, to be honest with you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being a part of this channel and continuing to interact and watch all our videos and tell us fun things and argue with Nick in the comments. It's great. We love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you guys absolutely rule. Tons of content coming out. So one more big thank you because of all your rulage, and we will catch you later.